ankle and missed Saturday's game in Atlanta. Back tonight, and Tom Glavine goes to the mound. Defensively now, the outfield for the Reds, Ron Gant, the ex-Brave. Jerome Walton gets the start in center, and then Reggie Sanders in right. Mark Lewis at third. Barry Larkin at shortstop. Brett Boone at second, and Hal Morris at first. Benito Santiago is back of the plate. Pete Schourek on the mound. A reborn Pete Schourek. And Tim, you've covered the Mets for years. The Mets gave up on him, and Cincinnati picked him up on waivers in April of '94, and he's been a godsend for them.
Released by a team that lost 103 games and needed pitching in the spring of '94, and came over here 18-7 on the year and 13-2 here at Riverfront.
And he didn't do it with mirrors, an ERA of 186 here. So not only did he win a lot of games, pitched well. And I'll tell you what, they did not make a lot of changes, Tim. I mean, you saw him didn't throw as hard as he does now.
I think Paul Runge is probably pointing to all the empty seats in center field.
That's one thing he's pointing to, and the other is that banner. They want that banner removed. It's part of the hitter's backdrop. But the big story right now, as we sit here and look at Riverfront Stadium, is the empty upper deck in the outfield. There must be 15,000 empty seats in a ballpark that holds a little bit more than 50,000 for the league championship series.
Yeah, no, and everybody now is talking about Red October. There it is.
Red ink October right now as Marquise Grissom takes up high. Ball one.
Oh.
Grissom, Lemke, and Chipper Jones in the first inning. You could say maybe it's a late arriving crowd. They'll be here tomorrow for game 2. 1-1 the count on Grissom. Marquise had a terrific division series. He was 11 for 21 and hit 3 home runs against the Rockies. Off speed. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Marquise Grissom had the most hits of anyone. Babe Ruth in the 28 World Series had 10. Dante Bichette had 10 in that series, and Marquise with 11 hits in the 4 games. 2-2.
And a big 5-for-5 night in game 4 on Saturday.
Picked up from Montreal when the Expos had their fire sale at the beginning of this season. And down he goes as Schourek throws a fastball by him to strike him out to start the game.
Well, you know, a lot of people are probably wondering why a guy can be 5-12 3 years ago. Last year come over here, go 7-2, and this year go 18-7. And all he did is change his arm angle and also the quickness of getting his arm up, use his legs, added 4 to 5 miles per hour on his fastball, and it has made him a dominant pitcher in the National League.
Now Lemke takes outside, ball 1. Mark Lemke, a veteran of the Braves championship teams, solid and steady and unspectacular. Good second baseman, turns the double play. Hit .253 during the regular year and lines it right into Schourek's glove.
Nothing to it, huh, Jim?
No.
This ball in on the trademark. It wasn't hit as hard as you may think. Pete Schourek with great reactions to make the play.
But Timmy, how many times do you see pitchers fall off to the right or the left, especially if you're a left-hander, you're going to go towards third base, you don't catch that ball. He was prepared, right?
The rookie Chipper Jones goes after the first pitch, and it's a soft fly ball to center field. Walton gathers it in, and the 3-up, 3-down inning. After a half, it's the Braves nothing, and the Reds coming up. The Braves went out in order in the top of the first inning, and the Cincinnati Reds will come up to face left-hander Tom Glavine. When you think of the Braves, the first pitcher coming to mind would be Maddox with the 3 consecutive Cy Young Awards and a probable 4th. And then there's Glavine, who has won about as many games through the 90s as has Maddox. And here is tonight's Budweiser Cincinnati Reds starting lineup. Jerome Walton leads off in center. Barry Larkin at short. Ron Gant in left. Reggie Sanders, cleanup hitter, in right. Benito Santiago, the catcher. Hal Morris at first base. Brett Boone at second. Mark Lewis at a grand slam the other night, Friday, against the Dodgers. He's at third. Pete Schourek on the mound. The Reds have been platooning all season in center field, especially since the departure of Deion Sanders in July. Jerome Walton will play against left-handers in this series, and Thomas Howard figures to be in the lineup against the righties. Walton leading off, a good defensive replacement. In fact, 43 times this season he came in as a defensive replacement, most of any player in the majors.
Well, Davy Johnson will tell you this is his best all-around center fielder, and they got Darren Lewis, who's won some Gold Gloves. But when you're Davy Johnson, you got a guy like Jerome Walton, who in the first inning has hit 4 leadoff home runs, hitting .438. You got to be pretty pleased.
2-1.
You mentioned Tom Glavine, 91 20 wins, 92 20 wins, 93 20+ wins, 13 and then 16 this year. Great pitcher.
In the air to right center field, and Grissom puts it away for out number 1. One center fielder takes care of his opposite number, and Barry Larkin comes up. Defensively, Klesko, Grissom, and Justice in the outfield. Marquise is terrific. The rookie Jones, Blauser back in the lineup. Lemke at second. Good DP combo. McGriff at first. Lopez back of the plate. Glavine is on the mound, and it is a good double play combination, despite the fact they pulled off the fewest double plays in the National League this season. An aberration in terms of a statistic, not necessarily being representative of the way Blauser and Lemke work together.
I think Blauser's injuries had a lot to do with that, and his range at short. But speaking of range at short, it does not get any better than Barry Larkin. And we talked about that package of power and speed. Larkin, Gant, and Sanders. And really, one complements the other. As a matter of fact, the other night, Barry Larkin on. He threatened to steal against Hideo Nomo. The Dodgers pitched out. On the 1-0 pitch, Ron Gant hit the home run to put the Reds on the board.
And the 3-0 pitch is in there for a strike. And they'll pick each other up as well. The other night, Gant hit the home run, a big home run, to put the Dodgers not in a position where they couldn't come from behind, but in a big hole. On the same night, Reggie Sanders was 0 for 5 and struck out 5 times. That's foul back. 3-2.
But Reggie Sanders with a big 2-run home run against the Dodgers in Game 2 at Dodger Stadium.
Well, Larkin, I mean, 51 steals, and Glavine, even though he's left-handed, doesn't hold runners on particularly well.
Popped up in foul ground. Not much room here, but enough in this instance for McGriff to put it away in front of the camera well, and there are 2 down.
Well, you know, I'd had a chance to talk to Tom Glavine yesterday, and he said my motto is give in, give up. So even 3-2, he is not going to throw the ball in the middle of the plate. He just doesn't throw hard enough. He throws about 87. Schourek throws about 91. So he knows what his limitations are.
Now Ron Gant. A particularly sweet series for him if you don't follow the sport that closely. Gant was with the Braves, had signed an enormous contract, in fact the largest one-year contract ever, over $5 million. Fractured his leg in a dirt bike accident, and the Braves wound up releasing him, and he was signed by Cincinnati. Hit slowly to short and on the run, too late. The throw low, and he beats it out. And so Gant, whose career was very much in jeopardy, who a lot of people figured even if he did come back would have no speed, legs out an infield hit against his ex-mates.
I think because of the positioning, Ron Gant a pull hitter, Blauser in the hole. He had too far to go for that ball. A little bit of a double clutch allows Gant to get the first hit of the ball game.
Yeah, so here we go in the first inning already. The speed from a home run hitter prolongs the inning and allows Sanders to come to the plate, and that can with one swing mean 2 runs.
Gant had 23 stolen bases this season. The Reds collectively had 190, and they would have been up and over 200 in a regular year. Remember, they played 18 fewer games this season. Chopper to short, Blauser to Lemke, just in time for the force. And at the end of an inning, no score in Cincinnati. All right, John, and here in Cincinnati, we start the second inning with no score. Gant reaching on an infield single and almost beating this throw to second.
He almost beats the throw to second and almost uproots the bag in the process. Just had him.
Really favoring that broken leg, isn't he? He wants to beat the Braves so bad.
Very candid about it, too. Yep.
Fred McGriff at the plate. McGriff, Justice, and Lopez in the second inning. And McGriff rips one into the glove of Brett Boone for the first out. 4 straight set down by Schourek. This league championship series game is being brought to you by Toyota and their full line of quality cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. Sharp Electronics Corporation. From sharp minds come sharp products. And MetLife. Get Met. It pays. Dave Justice hit .253 during the regular season, and he was 3 for 13 in the division series against the Rockies. Low for a ball. The umpires, Paul Runge is back at the plate in his 22nd year. Jim Quick at first, Dana DeMuth at second, Jerry Davis third, Randy Marsh down the line and left, and Jerry Crawford on the line and right. 2-0.
And there you can get a pretty good idea about what Schourek is all about. We talked at the top of the game that he does not have a pitch that can crowd left-handed hitters. Everything's going to be away for the most part unless it's a mistake.
Now see there, 2-0 tried to come in because, again, the scouting report on Dave Justice loves the ball out over the plate. And here he is, 3-0.
Yeah, but the thing is, Jim, if the left-handed batters of Atlanta make sure it come in, they're going to get him because he's going away from his strength.
Taking all the way, and it's a strike. 3-1. Don Gullett, the pitching coach, on the left, and Davey Johnson, the lame duck manager, on the right. Trying to go out with a blaze of glory, off speed for a strike, on the count 3-2.
I think David Justice was ready to take his shin guard off. That half shin guard, he thought that was ball 4. A breaking ball on a 3-1 count from Schourek. You can see the spin. Justice immediately goes down to take his shin guard off.
And don't think that everybody on the Braves bench wasn't paying attention. If you throw a 3-1 curveball, it means you'll throw it any time. I mean, Justice has no idea what's coming here.
And a breaking pitch is fouled off. Bobby Cox was the Braves manager in the early 80s, and then he went to Toronto and then came back as the GM and then back into uniform. Talking to him before the game tonight. How much longer? He says at least 4 more years. He likes the kids that are coming up through the system. 1 more term, 4 more years. Little chopper to the right side, charged by Boone. 2 down.
I think Bobby Cox likes a lot of things about Atlanta. That 5-man rotation he throws out there, the fact that they'll go out and spend a lot of money. What's not to like?
And not only the younger players in the minor league system, what about the ones that are up here? Javier Lopez, Chipper Jones could be the rookie of the year. Ryan Klesko, 300 hitter with 23 home runs this year.
Javier Lopez. He and Charlie O'Brien do the catching, and they pretty much have a pitcher-catcher designated combination. Glavine this season, 29 starts, 26 with Lopez. O'Brien catches Maddox. Waved at and missed. Smoltz, who pitches tomorrow night, normally works with Lopez. And Merker, who doesn't figure to get a start, works with Lopez, with Avery working with O'Brien. But they're going to, in all likelihood, just go with a 3-man rotation in this series, and if they get to the World Series as well.
Think about it. We have 2 teams who are similar in the way they play their catchers. The Cincinnati Reds the same way with Santiago and Eddie Taubensee. And that used to be a position where continuity was looked at. Catcher would catch 130, 40 games a year, but that's changing in baseball.
Wouldn't you know that, huh?
Yeah.
Of all people. Yeah. He reaches out. A liner is speared by Boone. So Boone in the inning, 2 putouts and an assist. Great play by the son of the Kansas City manager and longtime former catcher. No score in the middle of the second. Back in Cincinnati, Al Michaels with Jim Palmer and Tim McCarver. Game 1 of the National League Championship Series, best of 7. First 2 games here. Pete Schourek has set down the first 6. Games 3, 4, and if necessary 5 over the weekend in Atlanta. And then a 6th game if necessary back here a week from tonight. And a 7th and deciding game would be played here a week from tomorrow night.
Got a chance to look at Pete Schourek on the bench. Now you see why they call him Cosmo Kramer after the Seinfeld character. With that haystack haircut.
Benito Santiago at the plate. No score. We start the bottom of the second. Tim mentioned that the Reds have a similar situation to the Braves with alternating catchers. Eddie Thomas, he does a lot of the catching. But in this series, the Braves will stick with their 2-catcher system. But the Reds, Davey Johnson was telling us, it looks like Santiago's going to catch every game. Shallow center field. And playing deep and too deep was Marquise Grissom, and it drops in for a base hit. Soft looper to center. Looked like an easy out when it left the bat, but Grissom was deep, and it drops in for a single.
And Marquise Grissom usually playing about as shallow a center field as any center fielder in the major leagues. That is a rare hit to fall in front of Marquise Grissom.
Yeah, Timmy, it appeared that he didn't get a good jump, maybe fooled by the ball off the end of the bat or the big swing, and then again on turf. Versus the difference between turf and grass is if you come in too quickly and take a chance, it's a double.
Now Hal Morris goes after the first pitch and hits it out of play. 0-1. Morris 5 for 10 in that Dodgers series. Had a big double in the first inning of the first game, followed by a Santiago home run as the Reds scored a knockout blow and never looked back against LA in Game 1.
Davey Johnson has the manager of the Reds has a country western bar and restaurant down in New Smyrna, Florida. And I'll tell you, looks like Hal Morris has been dancing down there, because he is. Look at the 2-step. That's one of the CNW's new dances. Watch. It's not actually new. It's been around for a long time, but the guy can flat 2-step in the box. He's got more movement in the box than probably any hitter around today.
And he told him the guy that told him to dance was Lou Piniella, who's trying to dance by the Indians up in Seattle. Told him if you dance a little but get your weight back, you'll hit some home runs. The year before he hit 3. That year he hit 17. So Luscious Lou must know what he's talking about. I'll tell you, 290 lifetime hitter, very much like the Reds hitting instructor Hal McRae.
And people in Cincinnati very familiar with Lou Piniella. He took the Reds wire to wire in 1990 and then swept the Athletics.
It sets up a fascinating Quinella too, because with Piniella winning the championship here and then summarily booted out in effect, and Davey Johnson is gone. Ray Knight, they could win 2 world titles in a span of 5 years with both managers dumped. 2-2.
Best way to keep your job here is not to win.
Yes. There is Ray Knight, the third base coach, listed as an assistant manager and next year's manager. And he'll manage because Marge Schott, the owner of the team, likes Ray Knight. That's the deal. Grounded to the right side toward the hole. Lemke to Blauser for the force, and they'll settle for that as Santiago is rubbed out at second. So Morris is at first with 1 down, and it will bring up Brett Boone. it's gotten a lot of play around the country this year. The fact that Davey came back, he understood when he took the job it was for 1 year only. Some of the stories defied belief early on. Among the stories was that Marge Schott was upset because Davey Johnson was living with his fiance. I mean, Davey's a man in his 40s, and the fiance is now his wife, and she's about 40 years old, and nobody refutes it. So that's part of the equation too. I mean, it's an amazing story. Boone at the plate. 1 out, runner at first. It's not the only reason. I would hope it's not the only reason.
I think it is, though.
Well,
I mean, it's not because Davey can't manage, and Ray Knight can, because he's never managed.
That's a strike, and the count 0-1.
Well, as a matter of fact, if Jim Bowden wasn't the general manager, Davey would have been fired a long time ago.
Right, Jim Bowden hired Davey Johnson, not Marge Schott.
And when Marge Schott was suspended, he got to have Davey come in, and bottom line, he's done a terrific job.
There is Jim Bowden, the very young general manager of the Reds. 0-2 the count.
Well, the thing about Brett Boone is everybody knows, and we saw him on Friday night, he had a home run in center field, is that he loves the ball out over the plate. You can see Glavine just running it in, and he won't be anywhere in the middle of the plate. 0-2.
That's fouled back. Well, I'll tell you one thing. If that is the only reason that Davey Johnson's out, I mean, who will succeed Ray Knight? Oral Roberts? Billy Graham? I mean, there's not a very long list in contemporary America.
Jim Baker, maybe.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
How about Tammy Faye?
Fouled away again, 0-2.
As a matter of fact, you know, even though apparently they contractually Ray Knight's going to be the next manager, when Sparky Anderson, everything, the word was out he was going to be out of Detroit, somebody asked Ray Knight, what do you think about that? And he said, well, listen, I mean, Marge likes Sparky. She'd like Casey if he was still alive. She likes a lot of people. Doesn't mean they're going to manage her.
Comebacker. Glavine goes to Blauser 1. Back to first. Double play. Boone hits into a double play. And we play 2 at Riverfront. Atlanta nothing. Cincinnati nothing. No score as we go to the top of the 3rd inning at Riverfront Stadium. Thursday night, Charlie Grace, Murder One, a special encore presentation. And then an all-new episode of Murder One this Thursday right here on ABC. Here's Ryan Klesko to start the 3rd inning. Bottom of the order with Klesko, Blauser, and Glavine. No score. Klesko might be a very key man in this series. Whether he has success or doesn't could determine the outcome of a couple of games and in effect the pennant. Lefty against lefty. 2-1.
Well, he hit 23 home runs, and again, in a limited amount of bats, only hit 3 off left-handed pitching. I honestly think that where he'll hurt the most would be in left field, because everybody knows he's a normal first baseman, even though he runs well, not a good left fielder. But he can launch him. I mean, anywhere, anytime, any part of the park.
A great power the other way. He started 13 of the 36 games that left-handers pitched against Atlanta this year.
3-1, blew it by him. 3-2.
And again, that is the difference. Schourek, you know, when he was 5-12 with the Mets, he might have gotten trouble having to come in 3-1, but with more leg drag, 4 to 5 miles per hour on the fastball, he can still go for the heart of the plate and actually throw the ball by the hitter.
Breaking ball missing, and the Braves have their first base runner. Blauser coming up. We'll step out for a moment. John Saunders.
Al, Bob Wolcott continues to walk the tightrope. First and second here with 2 gone. Vizquel with a hard shot knocked down by Tino Martinez, and they get the put out. But he's allowed 5 runners through 2 innings, but not a run. Back to Al, Jim, and Tim.
No score there. Mirror image here in the third inning with nobody out. Blauser at the plate. Hit .211 during the regular season. Lewis shortened up at third. Check swing, a strike. 1-1.
And you could see that slide step from Pete Schourek, even with a guy who is not a base stealer on at first base, even though Bobby Cox telling us Ryan Klesko runs fairly well, but that's that slide step from Schourek, and he mixes it up very, very well. Check swing, he went too far.
Hit to left field, but hooking foul. No balls, 2 strikes.
And really, I guess to explain that slide step, it makes you much quicker to the plate, and all you do is simply slide your front foot without lifting the leg. And you know, normally if maybe you're 1.3 seconds by the time you start your delivery and the catcher receives it, it might get down to 1 point, maybe 1.1, and that makes a difference when you're trying to hold runners.
Klesko had 5 steals in 9 attempts this season, and it's 1-2. Blauser back in the lineup. He had missed Game 4 the other night. Rafael Belliard was the shortstop. Blauser was involved in a collision with Klesko, the shortstop and left fielder, in a game against the Rockies. 2-2.
Bad thing about that slide step, and Schourek has done it on all 4 pitches, is that a lot of pitchers come up short with that pitch. They don't have as much on it. Don Gullett can tell you that. He would much prefer to see Pete not do it on every pitch, but occasionally.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. And again, I guess it's maybe a little unfair when a guy has his success, 18-7, and another, you know, great performance in Division Series. He pretty much could do what he wants to do, but it doesn't make a lot of sense with a slow runner on first to slide step every pitch.
Just a token toss there. He has a very good move. He has 5 pickoff this year, and also 19 men have tried to steal with Schourek pitching this year, and only 7 have been successful.
That's
terrific
amazing
from the defensive end.
Yes, it is.
I mean, clearly some of the credit goes to the catcher, but in that instance, when 12 of 19 have been thrown out, a lot of the credit goes to that man.
You know, it's slide stepping, holding the pause in your delivery, paying attention to the runner at first, and that's the part of winning the close ball games. You're not always going to get a bunch of runs.
3-2. So let's see about Klesko here with nobody out. No score. Third inning. He goes belatedly, and it's foul back. Still 3-2.
Now, the one thing you do not want to do if you're on first base in a 3-2 count, you want to make sure he pitches home. You cannot get picked off in that situation. Consequently, the runner does not get a good jump. So if the batter swings through it, the chance of a strike him out, throw him out double play is pretty good.
He goes again. Strike him out. Throw him out. Throw him out from his knees. Vintage Santiago.
You know, and he talked about that elbow surgery early in the year, and he said, not only does my arm feel better when I hit, but when I throw. And you're right, Al. This is exactly the way. I mean, he knows he can make an accurate throw. He's done it for years. Now that his arm is well, not even close. And again, you know what did it, Timmy? The slide step. Slow runner, quick delivery, great arm from the catcher. Going to work every time.
Here's Glavine with 2 out on the bases empty, fouling it off. 0-1.
Did you used to throw from your knees?
Let me tell you, I really struggled as a thrower, as a catcher during my career, and seeing a guy like Santiago throw from his knees is it's enough to make you sick.
That's grounded toward the hole and scooped up and backhanded by Larkin like he had a highlight cesta in his left hand. And at the end of 2.5,
Seattle has taken the lead in the second inning. 2-0. Al, Jim, and Tim.
All right, John. So the Mariners out in front in Seattle in the American League Championship Series. Here, no score in Game 1 of the National League Championship Series with Mark Lewis, the number 8 hitter. The Reds platoon at third. Lewis plays against the lefties. and Jeff Branson against the righties in for a strike. And tomorrow night we'll see a righty. John Smoltz goes to the mound against John Smiley. Broken bat, little grounder to wide of third. Jones throws him out. Chipper had to look at the ball as he brought it out of his glove. And Benito Santiago, it's an amazing story. Tim talking about, you can't believe it from his knee. You know, when you look at him, it hurts to think about it. I mean, the thought of trying to do what he does from your knees hurts.
Yeah. I mean, folks, just try doing that. Go out and try throwing a baseball about 45 yards from your knees. It's hard to do. And he throws strikes from that position.
Schourek takes a strike, 0-1.
I think the amazing thing, 8 bone chips out of his elbow early in the year. Now, he couldn't have done this 6 weeks ago. Wasn't throwing well, wasn't hitting well. And I think that's why Davey Johnson's going to play him. Why shouldn't he? You know, talk about the great defense. This is part of it.
One and one, and that's in there for a strike. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Schourek. A good hitting pitcher. Pete hit .220 during the regular season.
And actually, both Glavine and Schourek, you know, both over .220. Glavine at .222. In fact, hit a home run here at Riverfront to beat John Smiley 2-1. First major league home run. In fact, I asked Pete, I said, can you hit? He gave me one of those little fingers. Not, you know, not really. And then I checked the stats. .220 is awfully good. Maybe that's why he was 18-7. His hitting.
At 15 hits this season, 13 singles and 2 doubles. 2 balls, 2 strikes to count. 1 out, bases empty. Bottom of the 3rd inning in Cincinnati. No score. And we mentioned it at the very top. One of the big stories here tonight is the fact there are, I would guess, 15,000 empty seats.
Maybe more.
They had far more people here on Friday.
Right.
I think the listed tickets sold is somewhere around 50,000, though that is probably a dubious figure. That's in there for called strike 3, and Glavine has his 2nd strikeout. 2 gone here in the 3rd inning.
Meanwhile, from a journalistic standpoint, it's almost inaccurate to compare Glavine or Greg Maddux to other pitchers. They should be compared to DeBakey and Cooley, the famous surgeons in Houston, because these guys can surgically cut you apart as a hitter. In and out, in and out. They've broken it. Glavine's broken a couple of bats tonight. He's throwing inside more on right-handed batters. There's Greg Maddux. He'll be the starter in Game 3 on Friday night. These 2 teams open in Atlanta.
The way the rotations are set up with the Braves using 3 pitchers, that would mean Glavine would go in Game 4. It also would mean that if we go to a 7th game, Glavine would pitch that one. Now the Reds are in a different scenario. It's conceivable they could use a 3-man rotation, and then again Davey Johnson thinking about perhaps Mark Portugal in a 4th game.
Yeah, I think he's changed his mind there. At least that's what he intimated in the meeting we had with him. You know, I said, will Portugal pitch on Saturday? He said, no, not at this point.
Center field starts this season. We mentioned the platoon situation, and Jerome Walton made 27 starts. Darren Lewis came over from the Giants, but he's a defensive replacement. It's now Howard and Walton platooning. Dion, of course, is gone. Reggie's here, but he's in right field.
The adage in baseball for years has been strength up the middle, and with 6 center fielders and 2 catchers, the strength of the Reds really around second base with Boone and Larkin.
2 balls, 2 strikes to count.
Well, there it is, totally unpredictable.
Well, the strength up the middle, when you think about this, is the new Red machine. The old red machine. Bench, Morgan, Concepcion, Geronimo. That wasn't too bad up the middle.
Right.
But you know what's amazing is that if you had the tradition you have here in Cincinnati, you go to any other ballpark in the majors, you see numbers that have been retired, you see banners. You know, very starkness here at Riverfront.
Al McRae, part of the old red machine for a while. One hopper to short. Blauser throws out Walton. To the fourth with no score. We'll return to Cincinnati after this from your ABC station. Alex Rodriguez of Seattle became the youngest shortstop in postseason history. Which broadcaster to be was the youngest catcher in World Series history? That means somebody else is coming to the booth. Here's Grisham leading off the fourth inning. Takes a strike, 0-1.
Got to believe it was Johnny Bench.
Yeah.
And certainly he's in the.
He'll be doing post-season radio.
What broadcaster to be? Well, Johnny's been a broadcaster for years.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know exactly the semantics of that question. So
right.
Maybe we've been trying to be tricked.
Maybe it's not Johnny Bench.
Well, that's another way of looking at it.
Or maybe Johnny broadcast for a while and move it out of the business.
You mentioned about retired numbers. The Reds have only retired 2 numbers, one of which was Johnny Bench's number 5, Fred Hutchinson. The other number 1, was Hutch, great manager of the Reds in the late 50s, early 60s.
One ball, 2 strikes. Grisham leading off in the fourth inning with no score. 2 hits in the game. They both belong to the Reds. 1-2. Schourek tonight, Smiley tomorrow, and then David Wells in game 3. So 3 lefties. Half swing, they check. Got him. Jim Quick puts the thumb up, and that's 3 strikeouts now for Schourek. He has faced the minimum 10. Klesko walked, but was thrown out at second.
Again, get ahead, span the strike zone, and you can see again the high fastball, a pitch he didn't have 2 years ago. And again, just a little mechanical adjustment. Don Gullett and bullpen catcher, or actually former pitcher and bullpen coach Grant Jackson.
Mark Lemke hits a fly ball to center field. Walton started back, now comes in and makes the catch at what would be about the 30-yard line for the Bengals. 2 down.
Jim, you are the first person that I've ever heard use that phrase of stay ahead and expand the strike zone. And if I were talking to a young pitcher and I had one thing to tell him, that would be the one thing to tell him. That one simple sentence that is I guess it is a simple sentence, but not simple to put into effect.
Chipper Jones.
But I think the one reason that Schourek in 1995 versus 93 is more confident to challenge the hitters, and manager of the Reds, Davey Johnson, second baseman, shortstop when he came up, very much into pitching, used to say, get ahead. Don't be afraid if you have a good fastball to use it. And Schourek, with the new mechanics and more on the fastball, isn't afraid to throw it early in the count. Davey was always involved as a second baseman in pitch count and so forth. I think that's why he's turned out to be a terrific manager.
And wouldn't have figured the minute we start talking about it, he falls behind 3 balls and no strikes.
Well, again, it's your intentions. I mean, in Schourek in 190 innings this year, only walked 45. Tonight he's been behind some hitters.
And this is a dangerous situation coming up, because I would think Jones will be swinging here.
He takes a strike. 3-1.
Another guy that a switch hitter, when you turn him around to the right side, 23 home runs, only hit 3 from this side. Another reason left-handers may be successful against the Braves.
That's hit into left field for a base hit. So the first hit for the Braves on a 3-1 offering with 2 out in the 4th. Chipper Jones singles. Fred McGriff comes up. Here's John Saunders.
All right, Al, thanks a lot. Bob Wolcott, we told you he kept stranding runners, but not this time around. Jim Thome with a couple aboard, a single to center field. Baerga comes in to score. Griffey's throw is cut off. and makes it 2-1. And right now the Indians have the bases loaded. We'll keep you up to date. Al, Jim, and Tim.
Walcott like Jersey Joe Walcott on the ropes.
I tell you, against Cleveland, when they announce you're going to start, I don't care if it's a week or a day ahead, you're on the ropes.
McGriff breaks his bat, rolls it down to Boone, and Freddie's gone, and so are the Braves. 3.5 quick innings in the books at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati in Game 1. It's Atlanta 0, Cincinnati 0. All right, John, here bottom of the 4th inning, Barry Larkin leads off. Fast ball game to this point. Pete Schourek has thrown just 47 pitches, and Tom Glavine has been working very economically as well. 1 ball, 1 strike on Larkin. Gant and Reggie Sanders to follow.
Well, Steve Hurt always gives us those little nuggets, and in the National League, if you get the first batter out, you only score 15% of the time, and if he gets on, it's 53% of the time the opposition scores.
And that's hit down the left field line for extra bases. Larkin on his way to second as Klesko comes up with the ball, and he's going for 3, and the throw is not in time and offline. Barry Larkin thinking triple all the way. Klesko going over gingerly and conservatively to play the carom, and Larkin full speed from home to third.
A changeup out over the plate, and easily by Chipper Jones. Klesko with all sorts of problems coming up with it, but Barry Larkin makes up his own mind whether to go to third or not. A base runner in that situation with the play in front of you doesn't even bother to look at the third base coach. Triple for Larkin.
Now Gant with the infield back except for McGriff, so a ground ball will make it 1-0.
And if you're Tom Glavine, you can take that 53 percentile and make it about 100, because you don't want to have a big inning. And you're right in the middle of the order. So the guy on third, when you're not a strikeout pitcher, most likely is going to score.
Strike, 1-1.
Again, you don't mean you don't give in to Gant, but with the infield back, minimize the damage.
Gant hit .276 during the regular season with 29 home runs and 88 runs batted in. And that's grounded to deep short. It'll score a run, and Gant will beat it out. One to nothing, Cincinnati.
First time Gant was hitting, Blauser was in the hole. He hit it to his left. The next time up, Blauser was towards second. He hit it to his right. 2 infield hits for Gant. The Reds take the lead.
Now to the chant of Reggie, Reggie. It's Sanders who grounded out in the first inning. Shattered bat and hit down to second, and Lemke has only 1 play, and down to second base goes Gant. So Glavine saw Sanders off, 1 gone, and it will bring up Santiago, and it almost hit Glavine.
Well, Sanders has been up twice. He has swung at the first 2 pitches. That ball on the outside part of the plate, which is where Glavine likes to live. And right here, he might even have distracted Lemke, because he doesn't get the lead runner. He takes the sure out at first.
Now Santiago singled in the second inning. 1 of 4 hits yielded thus far by Glavine. 1-0 Reds. 1 out in the 4th inning. Ronnie Gant at second with Lemke cheating over toward the bag. Outside, ball 1.
See, you can't hold Gant on at second base too closely. And keep in mind, Santiago loves to shoot the ball on the ground the other way, and Glavine's pitching outside. It's a very difficult play for a second baseman right here. You've got to get back to your position very quickly. And if you don't hold Gant on, or at least make him think that you're worrying about him, then he steals third with 1 out.
Because you can get a much, much bigger lead. And again, it even presents a problem for Chipper Jones.
Yep.
Because he's got to play, well, he's not playing that shallow, but he's got to be cognizant of the fact that if Gant goes, they may be a play at third. Yep. So here again, we get into the speed factor. And this is what they're going to try to do, set a tone when you talk about the Reds early in this championship series.
You can see Glavine giving Lemke time to get back to his position. If Gant breaks, Glavine steps off, or at least that's the game plan. Speed, the most disconcerting thing to a pitcher. It's not power, it's speed.
And the Reds have the most in the National League. 2 balls, no strikes. Ball 3.
And if you're a control pitcher like Tom Glavine and you and it's hard not to, let Gant bother you, it affects. Not based on balls, even though he has fallen behind in this instance 3-0. It's where you put the ball. And for Glavine, who's not overpowering, could be the death knell.
First base open and the left-hand batting Morris on deck. And he walks him. So there are runners at first and second. 1 down. Hal Morris coming to the plate. Grounded out in the second inning.
And I'll tell you what, with a contact hitter at the plate like Hal Morris, if you're Davey Johnson of the Reds, you've got a lot of options. Try to hit and run, move the runners, maybe get the Braves infield moving. That is, if you know your guy can make contact, but he may not hit left-handers well.
Now it's Blauser's turn to hold him on, and if he is too close to second base, Morris can shoot the ball through on the left side. He hits the ball very effectively to left field.
Ray Knight shouting out instructions to Gant as it's fouled back in the count 0-1.
Now, you're right about that. 100 base hits, 34 to left and 37 to right field. As a matter of fact, that key double that Al Michaels talked about in Game 1 of the division series, a 2-out, 2-strike double up the gap to left center.
Davey Johnson, a gambling manager. He will send the runners in this situation.
Gant at second and Santiago at first. 0-1, foul back. Quickly Glavine ahead, 0-2.
See, that's a smart thing to do, but when eventually you do deliver the ball, even when you have a fast guy at second, you know you have to be a little quicker to home plate. And that's where it hurts your control.
That's a bad formula, though, Jim. If you're thinking about the guy with the stick in his hand 80% and the runner 20%, you don't want that.
No. But that's what speed does.
Yep.
And Davey Johnson or any manager that has it, I mean, you got one of the best left-handers in the last 5 years, maybe the best left-hander in the National League. Why not trying to get him a little bit ruffled?
1-2, Boone on deck, 1 out and 2 on.
Gant's trying to time Glavine going home. Glavine's too smart so far.
Glavine is also the coolest guy in the joint right now. Or at least he looks like it.
Well, you never want to show and wear your emotions on your sleeve if you're a pitcher. And he's certainly not doing that.
Foul Fouled away. It stays 1-2 on Hal Morris. Schourek, meanwhile, resting, has thrown just 47 pitches in 4 innings tonight.
Yeah, you always wonder about a young pitcher. You go back and look at that first game Schourek pitched. He got 4 runs in the first inning. Tonight it didn't matter.
1-2 to Morris is fouled away again. Brett Boone next.
So far, Glavine has pitched according to the outfield defense. The defense is shaded way around toward left field. Marquise Grissom in left center field, and Morris has received nothing inside. Everything's been away.
And every foul ball Morris has hit has been to the left side. The 1-2 is inside, and it hits him. It grazed him below the bases. So he goes away, and then Morris leans in, and Glavine comes inside and grazes him.
Yeah, I think this is a purpose pitch. Come way inside, and I don't think the ball hit him. But anyway, come way inside, and then 2-2, get him out of the way.
Well,
but to watch him dive in again, that dancing feet.
I think what it did, it probably nicked Hal Morris on the right thigh, because nobody can react that quickly to tell an umpire that it hit him.
And the Braves don't argue. The pitching coach Leo Mazzoni makes a visit to the mound with the bases loaded.
You know, Jim, that could have been a purpose pitch.
Yeah, no, it was.
But it also could have been the fact that Ron Gann had him thinking so much about him that he lost his concentration toward the plate. Maybe.
Possibility, right?
They're loaded up. The infield is at double play depth. Boone hit into a double play in the second inning, and he hits a ground ball to the shortstop Blauser, and he hits into another double play.
28 on the year.
Glavine gets out of it after giving up a run. 1-0 Cincy. A Diamond Dust quiz: which broadcaster to be was the youngest catcher in World Series history? And the answer, Joe Garagiola.
1946, I
wow.
guess.
Well, the wording is the broadcaster to be at the time he was in the World Series. So I'll be darned.
I thought it might have been Johnny Bench in 1970.
I did too. Joe Garagiola had a great series. Cardinals against the Red Sox. Batted over 300 that year.
And the first pitch here is a strike to Justice, and the count 0-1. Joe was 20 in 1946. Probably smack us around for giving away his age, huh?
Well, that's
Joe, we're not giving the age away. We're going to let people figure it out. You know, we're just giving them a hint.
It's one of the problems of being the Diamond Dust answer.
Right? 1-1. And that's grounded foul into the Cincy dugout. 1 ball, 2 strikes the count. 5th inning. Reds on top 1-0. The Reds last won the World Championship in 1990 when they won the pennant and swept the Oakland A's in the World Series. The Braves have never won a world title in Atlanta. They moved to Atlanta from Milwaukee in 1966. Justice takes outside. 2-2. It's amazing when you think about the city of Atlanta. The 4 professional teams they have or have had have never won a title in their respective sports. And Justice comes around and tried to get out of the way, but swung in the process, and down he goes. 4 strikeouts now for Schourek.
Well, once again, the high fastball, this time 2-2, and when you throw over 90, you better get the bat started, and that's what Justice does, and he can't hold up.
Yeah, we talked about Schourek never coming in. That was not by design, that pitch.
One out. Lopez takes up high. We mentioned the Braves never having won the World Series. The Falcons have never won an NFL championship. The Hawks have never won an NBA title. And the Atlanta Flames were a part of the NHL for a few years. 8 years, in fact, in the 70s, and they never won the Stanley Cup, as it's looped into center field for a base hit off the bat of Lopez. So the Braves have the tying run aboard with one out, and Klesko coming up. And this league championship game is being brought to you by Bud Light. If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light. Network MCI, how to get modern communications technology working for your business. And Chevrolet, the cars and trucks 36 million people depend on every day. Genuine Chevrolet. Ryan Klesko walked in the third inning. Strike. Klesko 7 for 15 in the division series with the Rockies.
Well, the game and especially hitting and pitching so much where you have to adjust from at bat to a bat, game to a game, and that's what Klesko did. Got 3 hits in game 3 after striking out the first time. Just looked away. Line drive to left, one up the middle, another one to left field.
Ball 2-1.
I would imagine if Klesko puts the ball in play, especially on a fastball, it's going to be to left center or left field. And as you said earlier, Jimmy has tremendous power the other way.
Three and one.
Catcher should have a yellow light flashing in his catcher's mitt in a situation like this. This is a dangerous situation. Caution. Fastball away.
Flashing yellow light. Runner stays. The pitch swung on and missed. 3-2.
Well, once again, the confidence to throw a 3-1 fastball to a fastball hitter and having the stuff. I mean, just a little adjustment in your mechanics, and what a world of difference. Hey, what you throw 85, 86, you better make perfect pitches, but over 90, you can get away with good natural stuff.
3-2 the count. And down he goes swinging. So Schourek falls behind, then comes back to get him. 5 strikeouts for the Cincinnati lefty. 2 gone.
And this is what the Atlanta Braves are going to rely on. Power hitters and hitters counts, hitting home runs. Not a lot of speed. Second in home runs, and he throws it right by him. And you can see the disappointment and frustration sitting next to Clarence Jones, the batting instructor. Doesn't miss too many of those high fastballs.
2 out. Blauser, the number 8 hitter, takes inside. Ball 1. Reds 1, Braves nothing. 5th inning. First game of the league championship series. The World Series will open a week from Saturday, either here or in Atlanta, opening in the National League Park. That's grounded to third, knocked down, picked up by Lewis, goes to short, way, gets him. 5-4 on the force, and at the end of 4.5, it remains Reds 1, Braves nothing. Cincinnati leading 1-0 as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Tom Glavine has had enormous success at Riverfront. We detailed that earlier. The National League record for the best record at a stadium. Lefty Liefeld, I guess is how he pronounced it, pitched with the Pirates and the Cubs back around the turn of the century at South End Grounds, the home of the Boston Braves. In those years, he was 14-1. And Glavine 13-1. There it is, Glavine 13-1 here. And South End Grounds was the scene of
that was a big yard.
Jack Feaster's 12-1 record.
That was a big yard. You'd have loved to pitch.
Oh yeah,
Jeff, huh?
Love those big ballparks. Well, they asked Glavine, you know, why the success here? He said, I pitch well, they play well behind me, and I like the mound. And it was very interesting to me. He said the backstop is not that far behind home plate, and I think it gives him the feeling of being on top of the hitter, and that's not always the case in some ballparks.
2-1 on the number 8 hitter, Mark Lewis, who reaches out, hits it into right center field, dropping in for a base hit. Leadoff single. It is the 3rd time the Reds have gotten the leadoff man aboard, and Pete Schourek comes up. Saturday, the Jeff Foxworthy show. Maybe this time, picture perfect Saturday night at the movies right here on ABC. Jeff Foxworthy. So his first show, he said you might be a redneck if your wife says, I'd like to take a bath, please get the carburetor out of the bathtub. You might be a redneck. Schourek bunts foul on the count 0-1.
Well, National League Baseball right here, bunting situation, and if you're Pete, you'd like to get the bunt down and possibly get another run. It's going to make it easier over the long haul. Very much a part of the game. Can you field your position? Can you hold runners on? Can you help offensively? Something you don't have to worry about in the American League.
Bunted in the air and foul, and McGriff can't get there. No balls, 2 strikes to count.
Pete Schourek from Fairfax, Virginia. He graduated in Falls Church, Virginia, and every afternoon after high school he would come home and he and his brother would have a wiffle ball game in the backyard. And because Baltimore Orioles, big fan of Jim Palmer and the Orioles, and also the New York Mets. His favorite player, Darryl Strawberry.
And with 2 strikes, he's up there to bunt, and it's right down the middle.
So obviously
And
you never
he's
bunted
gone.
in wiffle ball.
Neither did Strawberry.
No. 1 down. Schourek strikes out for the 2nd time. Here's John Saunders.
Well, Al, speaking of strikeouts, Dennis Martinez using them to his advantage here. Jay Buhner swings over the top of that one. 4 strikeouts right now for Dennis, but he trails 2-1 now moving into the 5th. Al, Jim, and Tim.
So 2 very close games for our regional pastime tonight. 1-0, Cincinnati leading it here. Lewis at first base with 1 out. On the top of the order, Walton at the plate.
Davey Johnson, not the type of manager who likes to hit and run with this lineup, but if he were to hit and run, Jerome Walton would be the type of guy he would do it with.
Strike. 0-1.
Cincinnati Reds only the 2nd team in this century to go into postseason play after losing their first 6 games of the year. Matter of fact, they lost their first 8 out of 9 games. And Jerome Walton, in a game that the New York Mets were leading 11-4 on May the 6th, Jerome Walton with a game-winning home run in the 9th inning, and then he hit a leadoff home run the next day, and the Reds took off.
1-1.
Think about that. He ended the game on Saturday evening, late afternoon, with a 2-run homer, and then led off the Sunday afternoon game with a home run.
Like night and day.
You are the one.
Enough of that.
Got that right.
It's funny, Timmy, you mentioned that game. There are very often people say, well, what was the turning point for you? And teams very often point to midseason games or games with a month to go. But very often when you get off to that kind of a start, that key game for you can come in April or May.
Absolutely, as it did for the Reds.
One ball, 1 strike to count. Lost 8 of the first 9, then won 28 of 34. And then 56 of the last 101. They didn't have a very good September, but there was no race. I mean, Houston was 2nd, but no real threat to the Reds. Houston just trying to get a wild card. That's a ground ball to the right side. Lemke to Blauser, one, and back to McGriff. Double play. And that's 3 double plays turned in by the Braves. To the 6th, 1-0 Cincinnati. Right on the Ohio River. That shot is taken from Kentucky, the bordering state right across the river. High cloudiness tonight, but a beautiful evening in Cincinnati. To the 6th inning we go. 1-0. The Reds on top with Tommy Glavine to lead off. Glavine, Grissom, and Lemke. Glavine grounded out in the 3rd inning. 0 for 1.
I'll tell you what, sir, Sandy Koufax said, I'll tell you what, when you get the pitcher coming up 9th, you want to get him out, get the number 1 and 2 hitters, so that number 3 hitter, who's usually your highest average hitter, will come up trying to hit home runs instead of doing what he does best. And as I say that, he falls behind Glavine 3-0.
I think if you're Glavine, you take 2 pitches here.
I would think so.
There's one.
Even though he does swing the bat, I tell you, I watched him take BP yesterday.
Yeah, he can hit.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
There's 2.
See, I don't like that, though, because when you change your batting stance and fake a bunt, you take the strike zone perspective away from the umpire. Just to drive the little Earl Weaver nuts.
And ball 4.
But by taking the 2nd strike, the 3-1 strike, that gave Schourek a chance to walk him. And that's why in that situation, you don't take 1 if you're a pitcher, but you take 2.
And I'll tell you what, he's trying to throw this ball right down the middle. And maybe because you don't want to walk the pitcher. One of the cardinal rules of losing.
The difference, I think, Jim, in saying I have to and I will.
All right.
When you say you have to, the chances of you doing it go down.
So Tommy Glavine at first base. Song jacket, and Grissom lines it in a tremendous catch made by Lewis at 3rd.
Unbelievable.
Mark Lewis, local guy, grew up in Hamilton, Ohio, hit the pinch hit grand slam home run the other night. Makes a fabulous play here.
And maybe he was here in 1970 when Brooks Robinson put on a show in the 70 World Series, because that ball is into the corner, and with Grissom's speed, who knows what would have happened. I mean, this ball is torched. And there's your great defense by the Cincinnati Reds.
That was a brilliant play.
Well, that's a run saver right there.
More importantly, a big inning saver.
Strike to Lemke. That great defense behind Schourek. And you can put an exclamation point next to it when you look at the Braves have hit into 4 lineouts tonight. Boone made a terrific play before. Lewis makes one here. And there's a fly ball lifted to left field, and Ronnie Gant will take care of it for out number 2. 2 down, and that will bring up Chipper Jones.
Braves made only 79 errors all year. The team with the 2nd fewest errors, the Philadelphia Phillies, they made 18 more as a team. So the Reds far and away the best defensive team in the National League.
Now Chipper Jones. And the thing about the Reds, if you get into the late innings, they get even better defensively, because then you see Darren Lewis.
Right.
Who's about as good as they come in the outfield.
Yeah. I think if you do see that switch, you'd see Walton move to left and Lewis go in at center.
Grounder might have deflected it. Schourek bare hand, and down to Boone over to first for the out. 1-4-3. Cincinnati leading 1-0. Bottom of the 6th inning. Before a spirited crowd, but a crowd that will number in the 30s. To left field and hit sharply over the head of Klesko, who had trouble judging it, and Larkin winds up at 2nd with a double. So Barry's got a triple, and now a leadoff double in the 6th inning.
Yeah, the last guy you want to see come up if you're Tom Glavine, and probably the best leadoff guy if you're Davey Johnson. Toughest play for an outfielder is the ball hit right over his head. Tough to judge, and occasionally knuckles. And we told you Klesko, not the greatest of outfielders, but he would have had to be a gazelle to catch that one.
Yeah, Jim, the last guy you want to see up is Ron Gant. The last guy you want to see on is Barry Larkin.
Lemke cheating over toward the bag at second as Gant fouls it back out of play. 0-1.
This is not a good time to run, because with nobody out, you give Gant a chance to move you to third for the first out of the inning. With one out, if Gant doesn't advance Larkin, then that's the time to run. So I don't think Barry will run until and if there is one out.
So what do you think Gant's approach at the plate will be? I mean, it looked like he tried to go to the right side, even though he's a home run hitter and a pull hitter.
I think Glavine made him do that. I don't think Ron Gant has any intention to go the other way. We'll see.
And he's up there to try to lay one down and reach on a bunt. 0-2.
But see, for a guy like Ron Gant, you're taking him totally out of his element. I mean, here's one of the dominant pull hitters around. I mean, if he doesn't get him over, then you do have the chance to have Larkin try to steal third with one out.
So why not let him just swing away? I can't
go
believe
to hacking.
That's right. I can't believe that Davey Johnson gave him the bunt. I think he did that on his own.
He may have.
But why would a guy like Gant take it upon himself to sacrifice in that situation?
I don't know.
Strike three called. So Glavine runs one in on him. They can't get Larkin over, and Gant gone on strikes.
We told you about Glavine away, occasionally coming in, and that's when he does. And Paul Runge will ring up Ron Gant. See for yourself. That ball right on the corner.
Right there.
Yep.
Now Larkin becomes more dangerous as a runner.
Reggie Sanders at the plate. Reggie in postseason is now 2 for 15. He's 0 for 2 tonight.
They've been very anxious tonight. 2 pitches, 2 swings.
1-0.
There's Hal McRae, and he talked specifically about Sanders and a pitcher like Glavine. There's smart aggressiveness and there's dumb aggressiveness. Sanders telling me before the game, I tell you what, Glavine will just paint the outside corner. Stay there, stay there, stay there.
That's what he's done both times to Reggie Sanders, and Reggie tried to pull the first one, hit it off the end of the bat, broke his bat the second time up, and grounding out to Lemke at second. Tremendous power the other way. 11 opposite field home runs this year. Cross him up here, Jim, possibly?
I really don't know. You know, it might have been just a ball on a cool, maybe being a little bit slick. And with Sanders, with all the home runs, 28 home runs and 99 RBIs or 98 RBIs, with a 1-run lead, this in the 6th inning is the time where you make your pitch to Sanders, or again, you don't give in. Santiago on deck, a double play manner, and Glavine with already 3 tonight, 26 on the season. So make your pitch, even if it means walking them. And see, they're going to do that.
Reggie Sanders will get the intentional walk here after Glavine goes 3-0 and runners will be at first and second, and Benito Santiago, who has singled and walked, will come up.
In my mind, this is not a clear-cut intentional walk situation. You're putting two guys who can flat run on base. If they work a double steal now, you've got Santiago the batter. I guess Bobby Cox is thinking, well, you've got Hal Morris up there. If they do happen to steal second and third, then maybe you walk Santiago to get to Morris.
And I think this is respect for Pete Schourek, because at this point, again, the 6th inning, it's rather obvious he's not going to give up a lot of runs. I mean, you never really know, but you do risk the chance of a pretty big inning here in the 6th.
That's exactly right.
The Reds have hit into 3 double plays in the first 5 innings. Glavine tries to extract the 4th here, and it's fouled back 0-1.
Timmy, you know better than, or as well as I, this is not a situation, if you're the catcher, you know you got a fast guy on second that you're going to throw to second base, because the guy on first, Sanders, with 36 steals, can fly too.
McMichael going to the bullpen for Atlanta. Their first action of the night. Greg McMichael, a right-hander, will start to throw. Off the plate, 1-1.
Again, Mark Lemke very, very much out of position at second base. Santiago does have the ability to shoot the ball through on the right side on the ground.
Now, even McGriff at first trying to feint behind Sanders for maybe a possible pickoff play.
And that's grounded to third. Jones to Lemke, 1, and that's 4 double plays in 6 innings. Pulled off by the Braves, and that has kept them in the game. Since he leads 1-0, back we come to Cincinnati.
And again, 2-1 the lead in the 6th. Back to Cincinnati.
And in the 7th inning here, 1-0, the Reds on top. It's McGriff, Justice, and Lopez facing Pete Schourek. Schourek allowing just 2 hits to this point, and McGriff pops it up. Lewis, 1 down. Justice will be the batter. Tonight's League Championship Series game is being brought to you by Buick and your local dealers. Remember, Buick, the new symbol for quality in America. Cannon, so advanced it's simple. And Bud Light, if you want great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light. In Cincinnati, Al Michaels with Jim Palmer and Tim McCarver. Game 1 of the National League Championship Series, and Dave Justice at the plate. Justice has grounded out and struck out. Schourek has walked 2 men tonight, and he has struck out 5.
Yeah, he's showing a lot of maturity. He talked yesterday about the fact that McGriff will look for pitches, especially the curveball. He's gone right after him with the fastball. Same with Justice. I mean, a lot of confidence, a lot of poise for a youngster that really, second postseason opportunity.
Schourek, 26 years old. That's grounded into center field for a base hit. So Justice gets on top of it and hits it up the middle for a base hit. 3rd hit, all singles for the Braves.
Yeah, not where you'd like a 2-strike curveball. Stayed right up in the zone, and Justin, on turf you don't have to hit it hard, just find a hole. There it is. You can see the spin and belt high. That's usually like where the hitters love them. Nobody plays up the middle on the turf very often.
Now Javi Lopez lined out and singled. He's 5 for 11 in postseason play, and it's a high fly ball to right center field. Walton, 2 down.
Another hanger. Big high curveball, and sometimes you get away with it because the hitter anticipates the ball breaking. That one didn't.
Really seeing two pitchers with different types of success. Tommy Glavine with 4 double play grounders tonight. Pete Schourek has only retired 4 men on the ground. Schourek about twice as many air outs as ground outs. He's a fly ball pitcher. Glavine a ground ball pitcher.
Klesko has walked and struck out. 1-0. 1-0 Cincinnati. The run in the 4th inning on a triple by Larkin, a hustle triple, and Ron Gain with an infield single to score him. Strike. 1-1.
Dave Justice is not likely to run. You may have seen on Saturday night he hammered a ball off his right knee. He has a small brace on that right knee. He also had it drain about 2 vials of blood out of it. I've heard it is nasty, so he's not likely to run at first base.
2-1.
And if that's the case, again, I mean, Schourek has slide stepped on every pitch.
Yeah.
Without any speed at first, you'd think you would worry with 2 outs more about the hitter, especially when Klesko with 1 swing can put him ahead.
Why even have Morris hold him on?
Right. Good point.
Fouled away. 2-2. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Justice at first base. Called strike 3. His 6th strikeout and his biggest to this point. Cincinnati leading 1-0. The division series followed by the league championship series.
And great changeup right on the outside corner. The circle change that he throws. 3 fingers and then the circle with the thumb and the index finger, just like that. Except you do it left hand.
These 2 teams have been around a long time, but it's interesting that this year the numbers 1 and 2 teams in the league wind up meeting. 90 wins and 85 wins. First time they've ever met in postseason play, because both were in the Western Division of the National League for so many years.
Well, distinctly different styles. Both, obviously, we were seeing great pitching tonight. The Reds with more speed and bunch of power. The Braves hitting a lot of home runs. And tonight, the difference, the speed of Barry Larkin.
Hal Morris in the bottom of the 7th inning. 1-0 the count. Morris, Boone, and Lewis in what figures to be Tom Glavine's last inning, because he's due up second in the 8th inning. And Morris hits one down the left field line and slicing into the corner. Cut off there by Klesko. Morris on his way to second, in there with a double.
The Reds have led off 5 of 7 innings with the leadoff runner on base. They squandered Larkin at second base in the last inning. Mark Lewis led off the 5th inning with a single. Only in the 4th did they play to run. Imperative that they score right here.
Brett Boone with McGriff ready to come in from first, and the pitch outside, ball 1. So Jones has to shorten up at third. McGriff at first with Boone at the plate, hitting into 2 double plays. Atlanta's turned 4 to keep this one close. 1 run, 7 hits for the Reds. No runs, 3 hits for the Braves. 2-0.
And I don't think he'd be bunting, Tim. I think he's going to take a shot. 8th hitter right behind him, then the pitcher.
Right. No thoughts of entertaining a pinch hitter for Schourek either, with Pete pitching a shutout.
I think Bobby Cox would like to see Schourek lead the game.
Yeah. So would the Braves hitter.
2-1. And he's 3-1 now on Boone with Lewis on deck. In the air, shallow right field. Justice comes in and makes the catch for the out. One down, and Mark Lewis is the batter. Lewis is 1 for 2. Here is the MCI proof positive replay. Came in the 6th inning. Tremendous play by Mark Lewis to take probably a double away from Marquise Grissom.
Yeah, maybe the difference in this game.
Yeah, keep in mind, Tommy Glavine on at first base. You have at least 2nd and 3rd and nobody out.
Matter of fact, the 2 third basemen we'll see, Jeff Branson and Mark Lewis, both former shortstops. And you saw how reflex is so much a major part of playing third base.
Morris at second. One down in the 7th. Fastball away. 1-0.
Matter of fact, the Braves third baseman also a former shortstop.
Now, Mark Lewis very interested in that Cleveland score. He was the 2nd player in the nation drafted back in 1988 by the Cleveland Indians.
He fouls it back, and the count 1-1.
Certainly wouldn't be upset at all if there were an all-Ohio World Series.
You know, every year, I mean, he'd go to the minors, he'd have a great year, he'd hit a bunch of home runs, play good shortstop, and when he come to the big leagues, you know, glimpses of power. Hit his first home run in Baltimore, had a chance to see that, but a couple of years ago, Omar Vizquel took his job, and he's happy to be here.
Here is Glavine's 90th pitch of the night, and it's popped foul, back of first, and back out of play. 1-2.
And every one of those 90 pitches under duress, and that's what you really go through if you're in a 1-0 ball game. Can't give up any more if you're Tom Glavine. Don't want to give up any if you're Pete Schourek.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And it's fouled away again. Tomorrow night, you've got Smoltz for the Braves, Smiley for the Reds. And it's an 8 o'clock Eastern time, 5 o'clock Pacific start. And then the teams are off on Thursday, and then you're on your own on Friday for Game 3. Check your local listings. Foul back.
Glavine has just been masterly this evening. Also, Schourek has the shutout, but Glavine's been pitching in and out of trouble by pitching in and out. Kind of like the old running backs for Army, Blanchard and Davis, inside, outside. That's what Glavine's been tonight.
Glavine due up second, so we'll see a pinch hitter in the top of the 8th inning. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 1-0 Reds. Bottom of the 7th inning.
And I'm sure what's preying on Tom Glavine's mind is that Lewis had a great at bat with a base hit. Took a ball out over the plate and hit to right field. So again, Timmy trying to learn something from the last at bat at the guy at the plate and maybe make an adjustment.
He reaches out to protect the plate.
And all the Reds said the difficulty, they know that he is going to pitch you away most of the time, but he will get that umpire, because of his exquisite control, to call sometimes balls just off the corner. So with 2 strikes, you can't afford to take it. You can see Lopez and that ball. That's probably 3-4 inches out. But he will get a lot of balls called off the plate.
2-2.
Those last two pitches, an example of how Glavine works. Fastball off the plate 4 inches, fastball in off the plate.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Called strike 3.
Well, there you are.
Painted the corner.
Yeah, that pitch didn't look like a strike there. I think Mark Lewis has a good reason to complain.
Yeah, but it's what we talked about.
Yeah.
You really can't, and it's not that Paul Runge is not a good umpire.
Oh, that pitch is low.
Yeah.
That ball's too low.
That painted the corner of 4th and Vine is what it painted.
But you throw enough out there. I mean, that ball literally 3-4 inches off the plate.
Yeah, that wasn't even close.
But as John Houseman used to say, he had to earn it.
Yeah, you earned that one by going short. Schourek takes a strike and the count 0-1.
Get shorty.
Yeah. Pitcher against pitcher with 2 out in the 7th inning. 1-0 Reds in game 1. Alejandro Pena throwing now in the Atlanta pen with Glavine due up 2nd in the 8th inning. And Schourek strikes out for the 3rd time tonight. They waste a leadoff double by Morris, but the Reds still lead. 8th inning at Riverfront Stadium, 1-0. The Reds on top. And Pete Schourek has allowed 3 singles through 7 innings. Blauser lead off, and then Glavine spot. First pitch missing, ball 1, 1-0. Alejandro Pena in the Atlanta bullpen. Blauser a .211 hitter during the regular season.
And that's 60 points lower than his lifetime batting average. Ray Knight talking, and I said, you know, what kind of shortstop is Blauser? I mean, he said superlative, but he used to be a great fastball hitter, and he just got the fastball he used to crush. You get behind him, but they've been throwing the ball by him. Hitters and pitchers all year getting in on him.
That's fouled back.
That's another type pitch, is what you're talking about, Jim. And, you know, in fairness to Jeff, he has really had a year plagued by injuries. Been healthy about half the time, 40% of the time. It's tough enough to play this game healthy.
And again, you don't react to the fastball that gets you out with the breaking ball. You try to get a little bit quicker, jump out, lunge.
2-2.
And it's even more pronounced against right-handed pitching.
Mike Mordecai, who had a big hit in the 2nd game of the division series against Colorado, on deck to bat for Glavine.
There also a pinch hit double in game 3. Well, he's having a good postseason.
Got him. Changed. Took something off it.
So there's your pitching pattern, just what Ray Knight talked about. Throw the fastball by him, get him to speed up the bat, and then pull the string with that circle change. And you can see in the grip. And a great arm action. And what Blauser is swinging at is the arm action. He thinks it's a fastball, and he's out in front of it. That is good pitching from a young pitcher.
7 strikeouts. Mike Mordecai batting for Glavine, who goes 7 innings and gives up 1 run and 7 hits, and Mordecai fouls it back. 0-1. So Glavine done for the night. Pitched extremely well, but in a way it's almost symbolic of a lot of the Atlanta frustration in postseason. They played a lot of games in which It's been very, very close, and they've come out on the short end, and that's one of the reasons they have yet to win a world title.
Highlighted, as you look at Alejandro Pena, highlighted or low-lighted, I guess, by that 7th game of the series back in 1991 when Jack Morris pitched 10 innings of brilliant ball to beat the Braves 1-0 on Gene Larkin's bases-loaded single in the bottom of the 10th.
Then again, the Pittsburgh Pirates say, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
What about Francisco Cabrera?
And Pittsburgh doesn't want to hear anything about that.
Yep.
About the plight of the Braves in postseason.
0-1 the count. Mordecai hitting for Glavine, and then the top of the order with Marquise Grissom on deck. Change for a strike. 0-2.
Now you go back to that Morris game, that 1-0 game. Really what turned it around was Lonnie Smith on the base running play. The fake phantom tag by Greg Gagne. He doesn't score, or they maybe do win and win their first championship.
Happened in the 8th inning. He went to third and was stranded there.
Right.
Struck him out. 8 strikeouts, including 3 straight for Schourek.
Well, another indication of how great the circle changeup is when you don't know it's coming. The reason I say that is because you think it's a fastball. He established the fastball all game long early in the count, and then right there you can see the grip on the circle change. You swing at that arm because you think that ball's a 91-mile-per-hour fastball.
That's exactly right. A pitcher tries to get the same arm movement that he throws with the fastball, and the hitter commits too early. It's that simple. Very difficult pitch to pick up.
Ball 1 to Grissom. Marquise came in blazing hot. He was 11 for 21 in the division series tonight. Has struck out twice and lined out. Shatters his bat and loops it into center field for a base hit. So a 2-out single in the 8th inning. 4 hits, all singles for the Braves, and Mark Lemke will come up. And Grissom, great speed at first base.
Great confrontation coming up with Schourek, and that slide step. Mark Lemke has averaged .290 against left-handed pitching over the last 3 years. We'll see if he can take advantage of a fastball. He'll probably get a fastball to hit first and/or second pitch. Grissom with a huge lead at first base.
Had 29 steals this season.
Well, we will see how Bobby Cox operates. You got a pitcher on the mound with 5 pickoffs you can't steal on very often. You got a catcher who's already threw somebody out from 1 knee.
One and oh.
And Lemke, who is a switch hitter, natural right-handed hitter, this year hit more home runs from the left side. But he told me a couple of days ago that is unusual. This, as far as he's considered, is his power side.
We'll see if he takes a pitch and gives Grissom a chance to run here.
Grissom closing in on 300 career steals. He doesn't take a pitch and hits it to center field, but to the deepest part of the park, and Walton hauls it in for the out. To the bottom of the 8th, Cincinnati 1, Atlanta nothing. We're back in Cincinnati. Pete Schourek coming back to the dugout after the top of the 8th inning. It's 1-0 Cincinnati at Riverfront Stadium. Al Michaels with Jim Palmer and Tim McCarver. Game 1 as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. And Jerome Walton will face the new pitcher Alejandro Pena, picked up from the Marlins before the end of the season. Alejandro made his postseason debut in 1981 with the Dodgers. He pitched in postseason with the Dodgers in 81, 83, and 88 with Atlanta in 91 and left the Braves, and now he's back to try to keep it close as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Walton is 0 for 3. It's been a very good game. The biggest story, though, in many ways, is the crowd tonight. They sold 40,382 tickets, and the crowd tonight is 36,762. Game 2 tomorrow night. I'm sure plenty of good seats available, and who would have ever figured that? You'd ever say that ever in Cincinnati. 2-0 the count.
The one thing about Alejandro Pena, if you do get on very, very slow to the plate, easy to steal on.
2-1.
Bobby Cox talking about needed a veteran. I mean, Ponce had a good year for the Braves. So did McMichael. Obviously, Mark Wohlers as the closer, but just another veteran arm that has had elbow surgery, can still bring it.
Popped up, back of first, playable for Freddie McGriff. 1 up and 1 down, and Barry Larkin, key man tonight with a triple and a double. His triple led off the 4th inning, and then Ron Gant rounded one into the hole at short to score him. When the Braves bat in the top of the 9th inning, it'll be 3, 4, and 5, so they're right where they want to be with Chipper Jones, Freddie McGriff, and Dave Justice.
And so is Davey Johnson where he wants to be also as far as his lineup is concerned, because Ron Gant will be the 3rd hitter. He'll go out of the game. Walton will move to left, and Darren Lewis will move to center.
Grounded down to Lemke. And Larkin is taken care of for the 2nd out. 2 down, and Ronnie Gant comes up. Gant is 2 for 3 with 2 infield singles. Two out, bases empty, bottom of the 8th inning. Oh, and 1. Another strike, 0-2.
Yeah, the amazing thing about this confrontation, the guy on the mound has a transplanted ligament in his elbow. That's why he's pitching. The guy at the plate with a steel rod in his right leg. Both guys missed all of 1 of 93, and that was Pena. Gant all of 94. And here they are back, thanks to modern medicine.
Battle of the infirm. 1 and 2. By him. Pena does the job out of the pen. The 3, 4, and 5 hitters for the Braves of the 9th. Schourek, nobody in the bullpen. Schourek has been brilliant through 8. He leads 1-0. No Reds pitcher has pitched a complete game shutout in a postseason game since the 1940 World Series, when Bucky Walters shut out Detroit. Change. Walton moves to left. Darren Lewis, as good as there is in center. And Chipper Jones to lead off in the 9th inning. Ball 1, 1-0.
Matter of fact, Schourek never, well, actually only one time pitched a shutout, and that's all the way back in 1991. September 10th. A one-hitter in a 9-0 win.
In his 4th big league start. And that's hit into left field for a base hit. So the rookie Chipper Jones leads off the 9th inning with a single. The tying run at first base. Nobody out. Jones has 2 hits, 2 of the Braves' 5, and that will bring up Freddie McGriff.
And the Braves 25 times have won in their last at bat this year. 18 times after July 18th.
You know what Davey Johnson's thinking is, without the bullpen up right now, starting pitchers don't like to be out on the mound and look down to the bullpen and see that your manager doesn't have any confidence in you. So until and if the Braves get a lead, nobody's going to be warming up. That's my guess.
That's grounded into right field for a base hit. I'll bet you the bullpen gets up now as Jones goes to 3rd. Runners at 1st and 3rd, and nobody out. It's the first time tonight the Braves have had 2 hits in an inning. And it will bring up David Justice, and Jeff Brantley will go to the bullpen.
And I think one of the things we're seeing as we watch McGriff take advantage of the runner being held on is the fact that Davy Johnson does not have a left-handed pitcher in that bullpen that he would bring in to get any of the 3 left-handers that came up.
Right. Only Chuck McElroy is the only left-hander in the bullpen, and he's a guy who has more success against right-handed batters.
So if you're Davy, you're probably not going to make a change till you get past David Justice.
Well, you're thinking right now is if you're the Reds, you'd be happy just to give up 1 run. First and third, nobody out. Infield back, double play depth.
Justice at the plate. It's the first time tonight the Braves have gotten a man even as far as second. Runners at first and third, and the pitch is strike on the inner half. 0-1. Chipper Jones the tying run. Freddie McGriff the go-ahead run. 1-0 Reds, 9th inning. And Justice, it's a ground ball to Boone. He goes to Larkin on a hop, and a nice play by Barry to dig it out, get the force as the Braves tie the game. But a save for Larkin. As Boone was thinking double play in a situation where you're lucky to just get the 1 as it turns out, and Larkin a terrific play to get the force.
Whenever a second baseman has to go to his left that far, usually the double play that was initially in order isn't in order anymore. And Larkin makes a terrific play on an in-between hop. Boone a hurried throw. Great play by Larkin. Just terrific.
Not only thinking about scooping it out, but you have to remain on second base.
Right.
To get the force. So the game is tied with 1 out in the 9th inning, and Lopez will come up, and a pinch runner will come in for Atlanta.
That ball may have hit the seam too, and that made the in-between hop even more difficult to handle. Justice with an RBI and a pinch runner for David Justice.
Luis Polonia, who started the season with the Yankees and came over when the Braves began to fortify their bench. Polonia running here in the 9th inning, running for Justice, who, as we pointed out earlier, had fouled a ball off his knee the other night and has been gimpy.
And I think the reason that you know, you could have pinch run with Mike Devereaux, but you go with Polonia because most likely Cox thinking 1 lefty in the bullpen, not going to bring him in. Eventually Polonia might end up hitting in the place of Justice. You don't waste a player.
Lopez in the dirt, gets by Santiago, and Polonia will go to second. Pete Schourek comes into the 9th inning with a shutout, now in danger of seeing the lead evaporate.
Pete Schourek with only 1 wild pitch during the season, and this ball hits the plate, stays down, and goes through the trap door. Breaking ball. Watch it hit the plate and just skid through the legs of Benito Santiago.
And Davy Johnson goes to the mound and goes to the bullpen. Jeff Brantley, the ace of the pen, comes in to try to keep it tied. Huge hand for Schourek. So Pete Schourek comes out of this one going into the 9th inning with the lead. Now he can only have nothing to do with it or lose it, as he leaves with a man at second base, Luis Polonia, and Jeff Brantley, the ace of the pen, coming in. Brantley's numbers against the Dodgers in the division series. Polonia at second base, 1 out, 9th inning. Game tied 1-1.
Brantley had a great regular season, 28 saves out of 32 opportunities. The league hit .206 off it.
1-0. Make it two balls and no strikes. He inherited the count. The 1-0 count from Schourek. line to center field. Racing over is Darren Lewis, and that's why he's as good as they come in center. Polonia races back to second. Darren Lewis, great catch to keep it tied.
Well, I tell you, he acts like a human eraser. You want to pitch well? Have somebody like that shagging him down in center. I mean, not too many center fielders make that play. I mean, backhanding a sinking line drive to your right.
Yeah, that ball didn't have a lot of hang time.
No, it didn't. If you don't get a good jump and you don't read it right off the bat, that ball's either by you or it short hops you and then knock it down, and the runners, I mean, they're galloping.
And we pointed out before, as Klesko comes up in a situation where they figure to walk him with first base open. Well, let's see if they do or not.
Wow.
This is
with
a little surprising.
On deck.
One of the reasons Davy Johnson might be pitching, well, now time is called because Davy knows. Davy's saying walk him, and Santiago was ready to accept the pitch. And
well, Larkin came in from shortstop.
We were as surprised as anyone.
Barry Larkin said, wait a minute, wait just a minute. What's going on here? Whoa.
Nelly. So Klesko will get the walk, and then Blauser will come up. Blauser's had success against Brantley. He's 7 for 21 lifetime against Jeff, including 2 home runs.
Yeah, but that was the old Jeff Blauser.
Yeah,
what is the 1995 model going to do against him?
Well, the 1995 model is hitting 169 with runners in scoring position. I'll tell you what, you want to have a good year, get a hit now. I mean, that will really erase a lot of the bad memories.
So the game tied 1-1, 2 out, 9th inning. Polonia at second, Klesko at first. When the Reds come up in the bottom of the 9th inning, 4, 5, and 6, Sanders, Santiago, and Morris. Mark Wohler's their ace in the bullpen.
That's in case the Braves take the lead.
Crowd wants to know where that one was. So do we.
You know, Brantley fastball, 4 seams, no sinker, no 2-seamer, splitter, slider. Going to try to stay out of the middle of the plate.
Blauser fouls it back, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike.
Well, Timmy, you did an interview with him, and he said, you know, I only think positive thoughts. I'm going to throw it over, and I know I'm going to get him out. Obviously, that doesn't always happen, but that's a pretty good approach.
Now, you can see his stuff. You can't see his heart. That's what he pitches with.
Up and in, 2-1. Polonia at second base. Klesko at first. Reds got their run in the 4th. The Braves have tied the game here in the 9th. And Santiago to the mound.
I think Brantley called him out just to make sure about the signs. Don't want to be in between. For instance, if Santiago wants to go away and Brantley wants to come inside, Brantley will ultimately win the argument.
But I'll tell you what, if you throw to a catcher that you think is going to move in and he moves away, the ball usually ends up in the middle of the plate.
That's exactly right. That's why you've got to make sure.
Right.
Ball 3. Dwight Smith out on deck to bat for Pena.
See, I know Brantley would rather pitch to Blauser, but he can't give in this situation. And so far, pitches that Blauser swung at earlier in the game, he's taking. Ball's just off the inside part of the plate.
Strike 2. So the count full, the runners will be going.
This is the right-handed version of Tom Glavine. Never give in. He can't afford to do that.
Crowd rises. Runners on the move. 3-2 ball. Ford will load him up for Dwight Smith.
That was a good play by Santiago, digging that ball out of the dirt with Polonia running. Had that ball caromed off the mid of Santiago, Polonia could have kept coming. This is not an easy play for Santiago. I thought it was a short hop initially.
Well, this ought to be a great matchup. I saw Dwight Smith at Baltimore last year. 16 pinch hits this year with 18 RBIs. And he could hit the fastball.
Dwight Smith takes a strike. Dwight Smith in postseason play. Back in 1989, he was a Cub that season and played in the championship series against the Giants. And pops it up. Shallow center field. Lewis charges in, but here comes Walton from left to make the catch and retire the side. They leave the bases loaded to the Braves, but tie it 1-1 going to the bottom of the ninth. Beautiful sight. Downtown Cincinnati, 1-1 going to the bottom of the ninth inning, and changes. Luis Polonia is in left field, staying in the game, and then Mike Devereaux comes into the game to play right field. And the new pitcher is Mark Wohlers, who normally comes in save situations, but here in a situation to try to keep it at 1-1 and send it into extra innings.
Yeah, both managers now with sudden death pitchers and sudden death defenses out there.
That's one of the great things about postseason baseball. You get into situations like this, and if the game goes any further, you then kind of go in reverse. You then go to your middlemen as the guys on the firing line at the very end of the game.
That's right. Conventionally, Wohlers during a season game or during a regular season game, he wouldn't even be out there now.
On July 10th, he's not out there. On October 10th, he's out there. Reggie Sanders. Strike. 0-1. Sanders in postseason 2 for 15.
Oh, one of your classic matchups. Great fastball hitter. Does strike out a lot. We saw that 5 punch-outs on Friday against a guy that can throw 100 miles per hour.
Yeah, it's one of those matchups where if Reggie got all of a Wohlers fastball, it's in the upper deck. Two and one.
And that tells me that, again, inexperience that may be trying to overthrow. You could see by the result of the pitch that that was not a relaxed delivery.
He hasn't done it this year. 58 innings as he started, and only 7 first hitters have gotten aboard.
Fastball for a strike.
I think that's a difference, Jim, in Mark Wohlers this year and Mark Wohlers several years ago. The poise to get the leading lady, the first hitter in the inning.
Not only that, the first strike. And the minute he gets ahead, again, we talk about a great fastball. He also has good movement. And if you're a hitter, once he gets ahead of you, you've got to get the bat started. You just don't have time.
Very early.
Yes.
2-2. Off speed from a breaking pitch, ball 3.
See, I don't like that, because first of all, Sanders can run 36 steals. Your best pitch is your fastball. Why even run the count to 3-2? Go with your best pitch early in the count.
2-2, there's doubt.
Yep.
3-2, no doubt.
To Sanders. Got him swinging. Major heat. 99 miles per hour.
That's a big league fastball right there. Close to 100. That is a 4-seam fastball. And if you're interested, Mark Wohlers holds his fastball just like his slider. So that is a fastball and a slider grip. He says John Smoltz, tomorrow night's starter, does the same thing.
Santiago. Strike, 0-1.
That was also the way Jim Palmer held his fastball too, right?
Yep. And Smoltz has the best slider in the National League. At least that's what the Reds have been talking about. He's 3-0 against the Reds here in '95.
0-1 the count. 1 out, bases empty, bottom of the 9th inning.
Wow.
You know, it's funny. I mean, you guys played Major League ball. I didn't. But the one I'll never forget standing by a batting cage once as Dale Murray, who used to throw very hard for Montreal, was working his way back from a disabled list. And what struck me was the ball hisses.
Oh, it does. Those are those scenes.
Fans don't, I think, appreciate it. Makes a sound as it goes by. And that's grounded on a hop to third. Chipper Jones throws him out. 2 down.
Well, I guess it gets too simplified for you folks out there. Have you ever looked out of a car when you were going 100 miles an hour?
Yeah.
The scenery's passing very.
Beautiful sight. Downtown Cincinnati, 1-1 going to the bottom of the 9th inning and changes. Luis Polonia is in left field.
In our younger days, of course.
Yes.
Yes.
Have you ever looked at a car coming at you at 100 miles an hour?
Not for long, Al.
Al Morris. 1 for 2, plus he was grazed by a pitch. And that's grounded to the hole at short, gobbled up by Blauser, and his throw just in time. And we'll go to the 10th inning at Riverfront Stadium. Through 9, it's the Braves 1 and the Reds 1. Good one in Cincinnati. Al Michaels, Jim Palmer, Tim McCarver. 1-1. We go to the 10th inning. Bobby Cox right now in his 10th extra inning game in postseason play, a major league record.
Hoping he fares better than in the other 9. He's 2-7 in those other 9.
Marquise Grissom takes a strike in the count 0-1.
Tell you, Al, you got to go back to Jim Palmer's comments before the game tonight. He said he thinks that the bullpen is going to play a part, and certainly that's the case right now.
Brantley against Wohlers at this point. But they're in a situation where they'll probably each pitch the 10th, and that will probably do it.
Right.
And then the edge goes to, in my opinion, Atlanta.
Much more depth.
Yeah.
Grissom gone on strikes.
Well, we talked about tenacity, and you know, you don't always have to throw 100 miles per hour in 99 to get somebody out. Santiago moves up and in, and Brantley says, Marquise, here it is, but I'm going to make a good pitch with it. And he told.
In the Cincinnati bullpen, David Wells. Now this is an interesting call here. He pitched Friday night. He's not throwing between starts. You would have done that already. He might be loosening up to face one left-handed batter.
But Brantley's spot comes up third in the bottom of the 10th inning. I would think he's throwing to get in the game. Of course, he's not scheduled to pitch until Friday. Maybe Davey Johnson wants to try to get a couple innings out of it. One time through the order.
What you have here, you have Lemke, the switch hitter, then Jones, another switch hitter. Then you've got the left-hand batting McGriff.
Right. Maybe he just wants to get past McGriff and I was going to say Justice, but Justice isn't in the game anymore.
You still have another left-handed batter there, though, in Polonia.
Luis Polonia, right.
One out, bases empty. Breaking pitch. 1-2. It's another of the great things about postseason. I mean, we were talking about closers in early, setup men finishing, and also starters as relievers. Starters as relievers. Randy Johnson the other night, was that just amazing.
Unbelievable.
Ground ball right side, fielded by Morris, flips to Brantley covering. 2 down. Jones coming up. Tonight's game is being brought to you by TWA. The employee owners of Trans World Airlines. We're up to something good. McDonald's, have you had your break today? And Tagamet HB, the most prescribed medication of its kind, is now for heartburn. Tagamet HB. Probably in Bobby Cox's pocket right now.
The Battle of Milana.
Oh my. Atlanta. Oh, you can always count on my man T-Mac. We had to go to overtime for best line of the night, but that was it. Jones takes up high, ball 1, 1-0.
And this marvelous rookie does become a home run threat. 23 dingers on the year, 20 from this side. Much quicker bat. He'll be the first to tell you.
Strike, 1-1. Reds come up in the bottom of the 10th inning with Boone, Lewis, and the pitcher's spot. Two.
Good strategy, too, by Davy Johnson. Mark Lewis not on the line at third, but Hal Morris is going to make Chipper Jones push the ball to the fat part of the field. They'll give him the single, not the double.
2 out and the base is empty. March shot and the rest of the crowd gets up. And that's popped up. Shallow left field. Easy play for Walton. After 9.5, 1-1, back we come after this from your ABC station.
Nobody any more enthusiastic than Jeff Brantley. He's through for the night. Fine job.
Came in a situation where the Braves had the go-ahead run on base. He was helped out, as you look at Pete Schourek, the night starter, by a tremendous catch by Darren Lewis. Settled down, worked out of a jam, and pitched a 1-2-3 10th. Now, bottom of the 10th inning, Brett Boone has hit into 2 double plays and flied out. Jeff Branson is out on deck to bat for Mark Lewis. There's Branson. And Mike Jackson throws in the Reds' pen. Good fastball, 1-1. Jackson, who's normally the setup man for Brantley, getting ready to work an 11th if necessary. Bottom of the 10th in game 1. Boone fouls it back, and the count 1 ball and 2 strikes. Boone, a .267 hitter, has power, 15 home runs during the regular year.
Second consecutive overtime for you. Second consecutive game, huh? Last night, Kansas City.
That's right. Would you give me the union on the phone, please?
I honestly believe that that's why there's such a sparseness of fans here tonight. You did such a great job last night.
Right. Called strike 3 through an off-speed pitch. And if you're Boone, I mean, you have to go up there. I mean, you have to look for a 98-mile-an-hour fastball.
And again, a good breaking ball appears out of your hand to be a fastball. Tight spin, and if you don't pick it up, it's too late. You better be geared for number 1. That ball borderline high. Usually don't get that pitch. And Brett not happy about it.
Okay. Now Branson. Fouls it off. Eric Anthony is out on deck to bat for Brantley.
Difference between last night and tonight, you can bet as you look at Eric Anthony that tonight's game is not going to end with a punt return.
No.
Touchdown.
If it does, we have some story.
Matter of fact, it was the first overtime game ever, right? That ended with the punt return.
With a punt return, that is correct.
Remarkable.
How did you know that?
Well, Steve Hurt told me.
Okay.
I'm loaded. Okay. You think I thought of that?
Right. I wasn't trying to blow your cover, but 1-1. Bottom of the 8th inning at Seattle. The Mariners leading the Indians 3-2. 1-1 the count. And now it's 1-2. Braves have action in their bullpen with Brad Klontz throwing, the righty, and Pedro Borbon, the lefty, the son of Pedro Borbon, who spent a good part of his career, Pedro Sr., with the Reds. And down he goes, chasing a pitch in the dirt. Looked like a forkball. Splitter.
And Mark Wohlers not only has the fastest fastball in the National League, he has the fastest splitter. Boy, that ball diving out of the strike zone.
Well, just think about it. If a guy throws 90, have about a half a second to make up your mind and try to make contact. You throw 99, you've got to even be a little bit quicker. And then when you throw a pitch that appears it's going to be a fastball and the bottom drops out, you got no chance.
2 out and the base is empty. Eric Anthony's wife gave birth to a baby boy yesterday. Eric flew to Houston. In fact, when we were down in the clubhouse before the game, Eric was not there. He was on his way back and was due to arrive shortly after the game started. So here he is with 2 out, pinch hitting in the bottom of the 10th inning, swinging and missing. 0-1.
And he can hit him as far as anybody. The word is, kind of a slider speed bat, so he's going to have to really get quick to make contact off of Wohlers.
Mark Wohlers easier to handle for a hitter down in the strike zone.
And swing strike. 0-2.
We saw that when he came in and got the bases loaded, struck out Galarraga for the Rockies. Like a breaking ball that just catches the outside corner. Good break, good location. Tough to beat.
2 out, bases empty, no balls, 2 strikes to count. Wohlers working on Anthony. Game tied in the bottom of the 10th inning. Struck him out. Wohlers faces 6 men, strikes out 5. To the 11th, 1-1. As we head to the top of the 11th inning. Well, quasi tomahawk chop or whatever. Here's Mike Jackson pitching to Freddie McGriff in the 11th inning and missing inside ball 1. Fred McGriff, 1 for 4. In postseason now, he is 7 for 22. And Jackson misses inside. The new third baseman is Jeff Branson. Branson hit for Lewis and stays in the game. McGriff, Polonia, and Lopez in the 11th inning. And Jackson in arrears 3-0.
Well, Freddie McGriff ought to get a lot of respect. And more and more, especially in a 1-1 ball game, you've seen guys swing 3-0. I mean, here's a guy that hit 30 or more home runs 7 straight years until this year. And he walks him
on 4 pitches. McGriff at first base and nobody out, and Luis Polonia comes up.
Bunt situation here, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Polonia?
Well, the reason it most likely is I saw Polonia for years, and he's a good hitter but not a pull hitter, so he can't take advantage of the huge hole into right field. I would think they'd bunt.
Very good bunter.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how good a sacrifice bunter he is. I mean, a big difference. I mean, over the years you see a lot of guys that can bunt for base hits, but when they have to sacrifice, are they able to do it?
Branson certainly thinks he's going to be bunting.
Well, McGriff doesn't have that great a speed, so maybe you'll get a force at second if you play shallow enough.
And Polonia drops one down foul on the count 0-1.
Well, you don't want to bunt it there because Branson's in. What you want to try to do is bunt it toward first base because Morris has to hold McGriff on. And if you do bunt it, you don't want to bunt it hard down the third base line.
Polonia drops it to the right of the mound. Good bunt. Jackson. Boone covers. Sacrifice clicks. Go ahead run. McGriff at second base. All right, let's look at it from above.
You can see how Morris having to hold the runner on Fred McGriff at first. And that's why Polonia made Mike Jackson field the ball. Jackson with only one play to Boone covering.
Yeah, good fundamental baseball.
Ray Knight repositioning the third baseman Branson with Javi Lopez at the plate. Foul back. 0-1.
We talked about sliders early. Mike Jackson, one of the best in the National League. 41 strikeouts in 49 innings. And you know, here you have a guy at the plate and Lopez, who hit .359 with runners in scoring position, .361 over the second half of the season. So he's going to have to hit the ball most likely up the middle to make contact.
0-2.
When Jackson gets ahead, it is very, very tough to lay off that hard slider righty to righty. Davey Johnson telling us in that meeting is that Mike Jackson, after having elbow surgery, had some problems with his shoulder and became more of a pitcher this year. Took a little bit off, came up with a two-seam fastball that would sink, also a changeup to go along with the slider.
And it's a chopper to third, fielded by Branson, over to first for the out. 2 down. Nice play.
That appeared to be that two-seamer.
Okay, that was a terrific play by Branson because he had to throw the ball sidearm. He couldn't plant his feet and get back on top of the ball. High chopper. Nice play.
When you look at the Reds, especially the way they're constructed right now late in the game, there are no defensive holes.
No.
And the outfield is sensational.
Right.
Walton, Lewis, Sanders. You just saw what Branson can do. We know about Larkin, Boone, and Morris.
Infield playing just a little deeper than they would normally with McGriff on at second base and 2 outs. And the reason they do that, Devereaux's a pretty good runner. But on a ball hit to their left or right, they want to dive for it. If they can't make a play, they try to keep it in the infield. Ray Knight, a terrific third baseman here in Cincinnati. He started his career there. Davey Johnson, a second baseman throughout his career. Both aware of that, obviously.
2 out. McGriff at second. Devereaux takes outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. When the Reds come up in the bottom of the 11th inning, they're at the top of the order. That means Walton, Larkin, and Darren Lewis, because Gant's out of the game. It's a little messy at this point. Crowd moans. 2-1.
Well, there's your cross-up. Runner on second. And often you will change the signs, and Jackson just coming in. Santiago looks like he goes away for a slider, and he throws that two-seamer down and in. Moves away, and then Timmy, you know, you can really hurt your hand.
Yeah, usually the catcher catches the ball right down the middle. He doesn't get that pitch for a strike because of the way he's catching it.
Right. And that's lined into center field for a base hit. McGriff rounding third. Lewis's throw is offline, and it's 2-1 Atlanta. Devereaux advancing to second on the throw home. Mike Devereaux picked up toward the end of the season to provide added depth to do things like this, to come in off the bench in late inning situations and drives in a key run here.
Sure does, Al. And I'll tell you what, Salmon Baltimore loves the ball out over the plate, and this is not a good play. No chance to get the runner at home,
right,
and you allow Devereaux to go into scoring position.
And that gets the dugout's attention. With Blauser at the plate, 1-0.
You might say, well, Fred McGriff's at second base, not a fast runner, but the ball wasn't hit that hard. When it takes that long to get to you, you have to realize there's not going to be a play at the plate.
Fly ball right field. Reggie Sanders drifts toward the corner and makes the catch. But in the inning, a walk, a sacrifice, and a run. The Mariners have won. It is over in Seattle. They win it 3-2 here. Here we go to the bottom of the 11th inning. Braves 2, Reds 1. We go to the bottom of the 11th inning at Riverfront Stadium. Thomas Howard pinch hits. New pitcher is Brad Klontz. Wohlers goes 2 perfect innings, strikes out 5 of the 6 men he faces. Rafael Belliard is the new shortstop. 2-1 Atlanta. And Howard hits one down into the corner in right field, and it's in there and over the fence on a hop for a ground rule double.
Well, Bobby Cox, you can see the consternation on his face, and the reason is Davey Johnson puts up the lefty, and on the year, left-handers hit .344 against Klontz, and right-handers hit .228. So good hitting by Howard. I mean, you don't want to throw a left-handed hitter down and in, because you usually get this result.
And you also don't want to throw him a pitch other than your best pitch in this situation. That looked like a flat slider, and Klontz with the fastball his best pitch, and that's Bobby Cox. You got to think that's what he's talking about right now. That's why he's upset.
Klontz was a closer earlier in the season before Wohlers really took over. He had 4 saves, but none since the 9th of May. Here's a strike to Larkin.
Yeah, 4 out of 6 saves, blew a couple, and Bobby Cox, with the ball club playing really uninspired ball, 8 and 9, went to Wohlers.
I don't think you want to bunt Barry Larkin here, because Lenny Harris is on deck and Steve Avery is in the bullpen to pitch to him.
And he grounds one to the right side. It will serve the same purpose. The out recorded at first. The tying run goes to third. Lemke throws Larkin out. Howard now 90 feet away from tying the game. And Lewis coming up. Well, instead, a pinch hitter for Lewis with Avery throwing in the bullpen.
If Avery comes in the game, the batter you can look for is Mariano Duncan, the right-hander who can be very effective against left-handed pitching. And now Chipper Jones is out to talk to Brad Klontz. Here's the meeting, and shortly Paul Runge, the home plate umpire, will go out and have him break it up, while Bobby Cox decides, do you want Klontz to pitch to Harris or Avery to pitch to Duncan?
Lenny Harris off the bench to hit for Lewis. Longtime Dodger, came here last year. Cox to the mound.
Well, to me, the numbers of left-handed hitters off Klontz are so staggering. Bobby Cox got to make this move. Go to a guy like Avery, who's had postseason experience. Also a strikeout pitcher.
Avery the lefty, and McMichael is window dressing the righty. And they go with Avery. So a double and a ground out. Howard is at third. One down, Klontz out. Avery coming in. And Mariano Duncan will come out of the dugout to hit for Harris. Great game. A beauty. College football Saturday, ABC early. Florida, Auburn, Notre Dame, Army, regional action. Then 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. Those games. Ohio State #4 against Wisconsin. Oklahoma, Texas. Washington State against the 5th-ranked Trojans, and Arizona, UCLA. West Coast only at 4 o'clock Pacific time this Saturday right here on ABC. Well, the Mariners win, so they're up 1-0 in the American League Championship Series. Here the Braves lead the Reds 2-1. Cincinnati with a run in the 4th inning on a triple by Larkin and an infield single by Gant. The Braves tied the game in the 9th inning on singles by Chipper Jones and Freddie McGriff, and a ground out by Dave Justice. Then in the top of the 11th inning, the walk to McGriff, a sacrifice by Polonia, and a single by Devereaux has made it 2-1. But the Reds in the bottom of the inning have the tying run 90 feet away. Howard is there. Knight talking to Thomas with 1 out. Davy Johnson had sent Harris up to hit for Lewis, and now Mariano Duncan to bat for Harris.
This game has gone so long that only batteries remain. That's right. 2 catchers for the Braves, 1 catcher for the Cincinnati Reds, and pitchers. No other players remain in this game, and we're only in the 11th inning.
Postseason.
Yep.
Wonderful.
Pull out the stops.
The best.
I guess the irony is that Mariano Duncan, the only reason he's a Red is because the Reds didn't want him to go to Atlanta.
2 owners. You saw Mark shot. Ted Turner. Ted, stay awake, baby. Come on.
Yep. Not you.
Mariano Duncan. Infield in.
Well, every good fastball, good curveball, good changeup, but did not have a vintage Steve Avery year.
Fastball away, ball 1.
Like something you should point out here, not used to relieving either. He is a starting pitcher. As Bobby Cox hopes he'll be a finisher tonight.
2-0. Duncan claimed on waivers from Philadelphia in August. Had been with the Reds a few years back, then the Phillies, and now back. Began his career with the Dodgers. 3-0. Reggie Sanders on deck.
Thomas Howard at third base will make the ball go through in all probability. The one exception, the high chopper on the rug. You really have to be alert if you're on at third.
He gets the green light, and it's 3-1.
I was surprised right along with you.
Yeah. Stunning. Ball 4. Tying and winning runs on base now. And Reggie Sanders, who's had a pretty abysmal postseason to this point outside of a home run the other night. Cox going to the mound, and he'll go to the bullpen for the right-hander. Sanders, since he hit a home run in Game 2 in Los Angeles, has gone 0 for 9 with 7 strikeouts.
Well, you never know what's going to happen in these situations, but McMichael is the type of pitcher that Sanders can handle. Sanders holds his bat very low. The best pitch that McMichael has is a straight change. To me, this is not a good matchup. A guy even like Avery, who could blow the high fastball by a guy like Sanders. Of course, you have Bobby Cox playing the righty on righty, but Greg McMichael is not a hard thrower. And Sanders, Jim, we talk all the time about the slider speed bat. This is a situation where Sanders' bat is going to be sped up.
I'm real surprised that Michael didn't come in to start this inning. McMichael.
As opposed to Klein.
And the reason I say that is because righties and lefties are hitting right around 200 off of Greg. And you know, if you're Bobby Cox, you're going to see some left-handed hitters.
Yep.
You know, the other option that Cox had, and it's not a second guess, but it's an interesting thing, and it had to run through Bobby's mind. Wohlers did pitch 2 innings, but they took the lead in the top of the inning. And
Wohlers was not pinch hit for.
He was not pinch hit for. Right. He had the option of trying to get one more inning out of him. You know, if it's the 5th game and you have to win, you probably let him go that extra inning. But here you are thinking about, hey, look, you could have 14 more games counting this one.
Yeah, right. So why blow out your #1 guy in the bullpen?
Even though it had to have been a little temptation.
Yeah.
So McMichael now to face Reggie Sanders with a tying run at 3rd. Thomas Howard, the runner at 3rd.
And your middle infielders will go back for double play. Jones, if the ball's hit hard enough, he doesn't think he can get a double play, may come home. Otherwise, he'll go to second base and try to turn the double play on a guy that can scamper.
Duncan, the winning run at 1st. 1 out. 11th inning. 2-1 Braves. 1-0.
Go back to what Hal McRae, the hitting coach, said. Controlled aggressiveness. Look for your pitch. Fly ball will tie it up of any depth.
And that's a ground ball to short. Fielded by Blauser. Double play to end the game. Belliard, Rafael Belliard with a 6-3 double play to end the game. And out of the bullpen, McMichael, and Davey Johnson can't believe what he's just seen. And Mark Schott's team leaves the tying and winning runs on at the end as Ray Knight, next year's manager, comes off. Bobby Cox pulling every string imaginable in the 11th inning, and it works out in the end for him. Great game.
Rafael Belliard taking it himself. No need to toss to Mark Lemke. And Bobby Cox talking about pulling all the strings, pulling all the right ones tonight.
That is the 5th double play pulled off by the Braves tonight. 4 in the first 6 innings. And Belliard here on a 6-3 to take care of Reggie Sanders. Well, tonight's player of the game is, who do we like, boys?
Devereaux. He drove in the winning run.
We'll give it to Mike Devereaux.
Why not?
He'll be the player of the game. We could have given it to Wohlers as well, but Devereaux gets it for driving in the game-winning run. And in conjunction with this program, Chevrolet will contribute a total of $50,000 to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America in the names of all players of the game for this season.
You didn't speak up quickly.
Well, I know that, but I'll tell you what, Bobby Cox is going to give it to Greg McMichael. He got that double play.
Well, they can share it.
Okay.
As the Atlanta Braves win the first game of the series, 2-1 the final score in 11 innings. Game 2 tomorrow night, featuring John Smoltz for the Braves and John Smiley for the Reds. 8 o'clock Eastern time and 5 o'clock Pacific time. And regional action again tomorrow. Braves, Reds, and in the American League, Indians and the Mariners. Until then,